World #1 tennis player Novak Djokovic has had his visa cancellation revoked by an Australian Court of Appeal. The ruling allows him to remain in the country and participate in the Australian Open. However, unconfirmed reports suggest that the player may have been detained again. The tennis star has been at a lawyer's office in Melbourne throughout the ruling and appears to still be there. There is a lot of security and media presence outside the building. Djokovic flew to Melbourne last week, but his visa was refused over his vaccination status. What followed drew global attention. He was sent to an Australian immigration detention hotel where fans amassed in protest. His lawyers argued that the player met Australia's COVID-19 vaccination exemption rules after testing positive for the virus in mid-December. However, photos later emerged of him at a public event during that time. A government lawyer has said that the country's immigration minister could still consider cancelling Djokovic's visa once again. The judge in the case says that if that decision is made, Djokovic could be banned for 3 years from Australia.
So Novak Djokovic is at least free for now to begin practicing and preparing to defend his Australian Open title. But the fight to get on the tennis court is far from over. Let's talk to our sports reporter Michael Kern for more on this. Michael, has there been any response from the world's #1 tennis player?
Well, officially on his social media channels at the moment, we've heard nothing from the man himself. And I think quite rightly, personally for him, he's been quite quiet over the last few days since this has all happened. Of course, we've heard from his family and bits and pieces in there. And of course, we've seen the support outside of his hotel from his fans. But he's remained pretty quiet on this. One question that has always been is Novak vaccinated or not? And some official transcripts are starting to come out from the case that we've heard this morning. And he spoke when he came to the border force as part of this, and the interviewer asked him basically if he had been vaccinated, and the question was, now questions regarding your vaccination, are you vaccinated? Djokovic replied, I am not vaccinated, and then he went on to tell the interview that he's tested positive for COVID twice in June 2020 and December 2021. So there's always been that question of is he, isn't he? He hasn't publicly said either way, but this goes to prove that he actually isn't vaccinated, which is of course one of the big reasons that all this court case is on, because he had to sort that medical exemption.
Michael, we can see the scenes of jubilation there from the huge Serbian community down under, which supports Novak Djokovic. How is he going to now, concentrate or get back to focusing on playing and defending and going for that record-breaking 10th title?
Yeah, well, of course, this last week since he's been in Australia, he's obviously been in that detention centre awaiting a decision, which means he's not been able to be on court. We've seen reports from his management, his family, saying that the food he's getting isn't been quite right. So his preparation has totally been thrown out the window, really, from what he'd want to do. So obviously he's got to get his focus back on that. You mentioned that support. Of course, his fans have been outside where he's been staying, giving him lots of support. So I'm sure he's going to take that for heart. He's had support from other members of the tennis community as well. Of course, we saw last week Nick Kyrgios said that he's kind of not happy with the way things have been dealt with. There's been other support as well about the fact that it's not a great look for the world of tennis and the match ahead of this massive Grand Slam. So it's going to be a big effort for him this week. Obviously, he wants to win that record title, and you've got players like Rafa Nadal who have really laid down the gauntlet, saying, "I want to win this competition." So it's going to be a big ask for him to get refocused. And of course, the cloud over the head still is that this couldn't all be over yet. There still could be another twist in the tail.